lovelies, Minxy, Misty here, and today we're going to talk about marriage. It's our wedding photo behind us. And I do have a guest with me today, obviously, and that is my husband, Matt. I know you've seen him a few times before. We are both wearing the shirt, in spirit of marriage and being together and being husband and wife. We are both wearing, and we still have them, how special is that, the first shirts that we ever wore when we met. This is the first shirt he ever wore, and this is the first shirt I ever wore, so just trying to be a little nostalgic. We have been together for about
3 years.
No, we've been together.
We've been married 3 years.
We've been together.
Ooh.
We've been together for about 10 years.
The 10 years this December. We've been married
for about 3 years. It's going to be 4 years coming up in this November. So, and I think the first thing, I do have a few questions for Matt. The first question that I want to ask him is how
I can answer that. I can't answer
The first question is, what are your thoughts on marriage?
Well, my thoughts are, I'm going to answer my thoughts on our marriage. Because I'm kind of biased, you know what I mean? Other people's thoughts on marriage are going to be different, and I don't want, any cloudy area to get in there, so I'll say my thoughts on being married is, I love it. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my wife. I love my life. I mean, this is the perfect, situation for us both. I feel I love being a husband, the responsibilities that come along with it, and I get to come home to somebody every single day who loves me back, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, amen to that. Me either. And kind of for me, what marriage is, my thoughts on marriage, there's a level of stability there that's different between being in a relationship and being married. There's a level of importance. Every relationship is important, obviously, but there's something, it feels more important and like bigger responsibility in some kind of way, and just there's something more comforting and more stable and more calming about being married. That being said, there is also there's a feeling of like maybe a bigger fear, I guess you would call it, like there's more to lose because it is this bond and this choice that you've made together. So the next question I kind of have is, what is it like being married to me?
Well, being married to you is awesome. I mean, we have our ups and downs. Believe me, we have our downs just like any other marriage would. I said believe me, like that's hard to believe that a couple has downtimes, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I feel we clash in the right ways. Our faults.
Clash of the Titans.
our faults. They kind of complement each other. You know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of the same things in common, but at the same time, we are able to work with each other perfectly around the things that we don't have in common. Like, she's a poet, I'm not. I paint and she doesn't. So, I mean, we manage to make things work, and we love each other all the time, and it's a wonderful thing. I love it very much.
I love you too. And for me, what it's like being married to Matt, I agree with him strongly, everything that he said. Marriage, just like any relationship, you have to work at it every day. Like anything in life that's going to have its challenges, and anything worth having in this life in general, it isn't always going to be easy. You have to work at it, and you have to try. And what Matt's saying, I fully agree with, and I know exactly what he's talking about in regards to, complementing each other, our flaws kind of complementing each other and clashing in the right way. Because, like, for example, Matt's flaws, my flaws, to some people they might not understand certain things, like we're both kind of a bit nerdy. Well, not everybody is nerdy, so I'm going to understand him in a level because of that other people might not, and vice versa. There's also the fact that we're both kind of homebodies. He's probably a little bit more than me homebody, but I understand it, and I am that way too. I like to be home. I like to be with him. We like to, spend time together. And this is very, very important to us, whereas a lot of people more like being out, and we more like, being at home. So they absolutely complement each other. And because, and not only that, but, the obstacles and the struggles that we have been through, because yes, everyone's had their ups and downs. Our bond has gone that much stronger because of the things we've been through together, and because of our ups and downs. It forms another bond. It just brings you that much closer together and that much stronger, in my opinion. So I fully agree with that. What did you think the first time you ever saw me?
Well, the first time I ever saw her, I went to her house and knocked on her door, and I met her over at her place. She opened the door, and both of us were just kind of like all big-eyed and like it was. We were nervous. So nervous, and I was like, this woman is beautiful. So far, everything that I know about her is amazing. I was just dumbstruck. I was dumbfounded the first time I saw you, and I know I went home that night. We had kind of a similar situation. I went home that night, and I was living with a couple of roommates at the time. It was another couple, and I told them that night, I was like, I'm definitely gonna marry this one. And they were just kind of like, yeah, Matt finally got a girl, and he's just all being goofy now. But no, I keep my word.
Still goofy.
Yeah, well, that's
always goofy.
That's true. But yeah, I keep my word. I married her. Don't regret it at all. It was awesome.
Oh. Same thing with me. The first time I ever saw Matt, I just knew. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just knew he was the one. He opened the door and I just saw him, and it was different. I felt something I'd never felt before. It's really kind of hard to describe, but I'd heard people say it before. Like my dad, for example, when he first met my mom, he said, I don't know, I just saw her, and I just thought that's the one. And other family members as well, when they kind of described when they first met each other and interacted, there's just a feeling that they got, and they just saw him and knew. And I was just like, oh, that's a great story. But that's really what I thought it was. I thought it was a story. I didn't really believe it. You don't really understand until you see what year one, what year one is. And I saw it, I didn't really believe it. I heard it. I thought it was nice, and I was like, oh, but I did not fully understand until the day I first saw Matt. And absolutely the best way that I can describe meeting Matt and our first interaction was cutely awkward. 2 words, cutely awkward, because we were both kind of like, oh, he's so cute. Well, he didn't say it. So
no, that's not true.
Like,
that's not true. I was totally like,
so cute.
Oh, he is so cute. I was looking at myself and I was like, I'm going to hit this off good today. This is going to be a wonderful experience for her.
But I was like, he's so cute. He's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I went home. As soon as he left, I went and I told my mom and dad, I'm like, that's the person I'm going to marry. I just met him. That's the guy I'm going to marry. And like I said, he went home and told his friends the same thing. From what I understand, we've had that talk several times. Nostalgic, reminiscing of the first day we met. The next question I kind of wanted to ask you was, what does being a husband mean to you, and how, like personally, and how does it make you feel?
Well, being a husband is, it's awesome. It's it makes me feel like I have a purpose. It makes me feel like, you know, like this is what my life is meant for. It's to, you know, take care of you and be there for you and be there for my household, as a supporter and provider at the same time. And I mean, it's a duty of mine. It's the duty that I have to do, but at the same time, it's one that I love to do and one that I want to do. So, well, it's how it is, and you know, I love it. It's very, very, very wonderful. I wouldn't have it anyway. I love you very much, and you make it very easy to be a husband. So.
Aw. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What being a wife means to me, you probably already have an idea on a lot of this stuff we're covering, but you ain't been together 10 years and I have somewhat of an idea. You know, it is a role to play, I agree. It makes me feel more than anything needed. It makes me feel needed, it makes me feel important. It means that another life is depending on me, you know. You depend on me, and then my life, you know, my choices, they're not my own. It's not just a me, it's an us. I got to keep him in mind. Any decision that I make, is this a decision that is good for both of us? Is this something that'll make him happy? It's not, when you're married, you choose to be with someone, which it is a choice, and more these days, a lot of people kind of take, you know, marriage for granted, I think, and the society kind of in general, how people look at marriage now, I think, you know, it's kind of sad, you know. A lot of people more act like, oh, you see all these social like websites and all this different stuff, and you hear things on the radio about people having an affair and cheating on their spouse, and I mean, they have all the TV shows, Cheaters or whatever, all over the place, and they're making it almost like it's like more and more acceptable, and like there's the divorce rate being as high as it is now. You know, it's very important, and it is a choice, and when you get together and you make that decision, be committed. You know what I'm saying? To one another. You gotta be a voice of reason to the other person. Being a wife means I have to be a voice of reason to you. You know, voice of wisdom. I have to be a shoulder for you to cry on. Not that he cries. He's a manly man. But
I haven't cried since, I mean, I may have cried when I was born. Never happened since.
Yeah.
Never once.
Being a wife means you're living for the other person, and being married in general, you're living for each other. So that's kind of my thoughts on being a wife. Any advice that you might have for people that are maybe about to get married in the future, or are having maybe difficulties in their current marriage? You know, for example, if they've been together as long as us, or longer even.
Well, I mean, I'll say I'm not like any kind of therapist or professional advice giver or anything like that. I mean, everybody has advice that you can learn from in their marriage. But that being said, the main thing that I guess I would say is love is an action. When we got married, the pastor that married us, was a very, very smart guy. He's awesome. He explained to us, he said, well, in order for me to marry you, you have to do 2 marriage counseling sessions, and then, you know, we can do the wedding after that. And in one of our counseling sessions, he told us, always remember, love is a verb. It's an action. A lot of people will think that it's a noun, it's a feeling. An idea-ish. It's a way I feel about somebody else. It's love. It's something that I feel in here for somebody else, which, you know, you do feel it, absolutely. He also says, a lot of people think it's an adjective. It describes the way I feel about somebody else, or it describes my relationship with somebody else. But that's not, you know, get all of that, put all of that in the back of your head, and remember, love is an action. So he gave me an example. He has, throughout his many years of being a pastor, he's had a lot of couples come in for marriage counseling, and he, you know, he'll say sometimes a man will come in and with his wife, and he'll ask the man first, you know, so do you love your wife? And the man will say, obviously I married her, I love my wife. He's like, well, when do you love your wife? What do you mean? I love her right now, she's my wife. He's like, well, you're not loving her right now, you're talking to me. Love is an action, it's something you do. So anytime you hold the door for her, you pump gas so she doesn't have to, you do something to keep her in mind. Something so that you let her know you're thinking about her. And obviously hugs and, you know, physical affection as well, emotional affection, yes. All of that is included, obviously. So now, keeping that in mind, when was the last time you really loved her? He was like, well, in that context, I guess it's probably been a while. And wife's turned out to be the same situation. So, pastor says, I always tell them 99 out of 100 times it works. Just tell them, just love each other then. If you're not doing it, obviously there's a problem. So start loving each other, start holding each other, show each other affection, do things for each other, and make an attempt to do it every single day. And he says 99 times out of 100 it works. They almost always, you know, come out and everything's perfect in the end. So that would be my advice, is love each other. Love as an action. Love each other every day. That's my advice.
That's good advice. Very good. Kind of my advice is the same as kind of the last question. First and foremost, you know, don't take marriage for granted. Would be the number one thing. Never take each other for granted. You know, never take love in general for granted, or any relationship. Make sure that that person knows, you know, what you mean to them. They know that, you know, what they're worth to you, and show them, again, kind of love is the action. Show them that every day. Number two, very, very important thing, in my opinion, a lot of your basic things, you know, communicate. Be sure you're communicating. And one of the ways that you can communicate, I'll kind of tap on in a minute. You know, but also, like, you know, just in general, be faithful, be loyal, be honest and truthful with one another. All these things are very, very important. You got to be open, and you got to be honest, and you got to be talking. You really, really do. Communication is very, very important, as well as trust. Trust is very, very important. Make sure that you're trusting each other, and don't give up. You know, don't give up. You know, just keep on right on trying. Keep on, you know, fighting. Well, not fighting. Keep on.
You should fight with your spouse all the time.
Keep right on fighting and holding on to it, because it's so important, and it's worth holding on to. And even when you're struggling and you're going through those tough times, brighter times, better times are always ahead. And another way to help you to communicate, as I discussed, because that's a word.
No, that actually is a word.
That's a bad word.
It's inappropriate for this.
As I discussed before, one of the ways that you can communicate is, it's very common knowledge and very known. If you're unfamiliar for any reason, you know, Google it. Love language. Know your partner's love language is a very good way. And kind of a few examples. You know, they have the love languages. I think there's 5 of them. It's quality time. There is the, you know, intimacy, physical touch. There's the gift giving, words of affirmation. Be sure you're telling that person, again, as I mentioned, what they're worth for you. You know, that could be something like, oh, calling a person pretty or handsome, or whatever that, you know, it may be. And then there was one more, I think, acts of service,
devotion.
Right. So make sure you're knowing each other's love language, and again, make sure you're communicating, because a lot of times, Matt and I have been together long enough to where we know, 10 years, we know what each other's, but even him and I were surprised, because you may think that you know what your partner's love language is, but a lot of times you might realize you may be just assuming. You might be assuming things. You need to talk to them and be sure, because love language helps a lot to make that's important, because it's all a part and plays a role of helping your partner feel more fulfilled in your relationship. And you need to feel fulfilled, and you need to feel, that you're being taken care of, and vice versa, that you're taking care of your partner. I guess do you have any advice for newlywed couples?
I mean, not anything different. Just love each other every day. It's really the same thing. Stick with it. The first year's, they say the first year is the hardest. In our situation, it was true.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But just stick with it. I mean,
yeah,
that's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the first questions. Yeah, just make sure you're sticking it through. Make sure you're holding on to each other, and make, like I said, better times are ahead. So, any other?
Better times are ahead. Better times might be now for.
Well, that's true.
But better times are all the time. So even if things are good, everything can be better. But yeah, just congratulations if you are newlyweds.
Yeah, congratulations, absolutely.
But yeah.
For sure, yeah. And just if you make it past the first year, it's all looking up from there. Because it was a struggle for us the first year. I'm rambling.
It was. Our first year was difficult.
This part will be edited a lot.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Any advice for people about to get married?
Yeah. Go to the justice of the peace. I'm just kidding. You can go to have a small service. Really is like a lot of people like
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. No, I'm just kidding.
A lot of people, it's the most important day of my life, so I have to go out and I need to do all of this stuff, and it has to be the perfect day, which is half true. It is the most important day of your life, and you should do whatever it takes to make it memorable and an awesome experience within reason. A lot of people, understandably, it's the most important day of your life. So you want it to be memorable. You want to do everything you can to make it this big bash, and you want it as extravagant as possible, which you deserve that. You deserve everything you can get out of your wedding day. At the same time, the wedding goes by so fast. It's, maybe 6 hours of your day, and then it's gone. Where you could, for that same amount of time, you can have just as much fun, spending a fraction of the cost, and then, you can double, possibly, the money you'd be spending on your honeymoon. You know what I mean? Make it twice as awesome. And honeymoons can be a week to a month for some people. Just depending on what you do. So by all means, that's my suggestion. For the wedding itself, just keep it, unless there's going to be like hundreds of people there, keep it low key, if you can, you know what I mean? And that's my advice in any case.
Okay. Yeah. I agree in regards to, not going overboard. Do be responsible for, the cost. You could put a down payment on your house, or you could, put put a down payment on a car or a house, and a lot of people often do. So just kind of make sure that you're putting that money that's best suited for long term and your long term goals. And of course, he's absolutely right in regards to, marriage weddings, they can be expensive. For what we spent, it's possible we could have gone, took a few of our family members on a trip somewhere or something like that. We didn't go too crazy. I know a lot of people that go a lot more extravagant and spend a lot of money, and I'm sure some of them probably have a few regrets themselves. But you know, just make sure you're spending your money wisely, making good choices there, and you're doing something that's going to best suit you in long term and stuff like that. And pretty much, yeah, kind of what he has said, I kind of agree. You know, your wedding's over so fast. For us as women, you know, a lot of women, a lot of women, like, they really, it's important for them. They have a lot of fun, like, shopping for the wedding dress. I enjoyed, my favorite part of shopping was actually getting the cake. And by all means, taste testing of the cake, that was the funnest part of the shopping for me, big time, this gal. And make sure you invite your whole family.
So awesome.
I think it was just my sister that came with us, but the cake testing was awesome.
So many more people could have come. I mean, we went, what was it, like 4 or 5 different shops?
Yeah, we didn't do.
We should have gone to like 30. They give you free cake.
But
it was awesome.
Basically, you know, a lot of women, they worry about that. They worry about the dress. They worry about the flowers. That everything has to be perfect. And I actually worked in a bridal shop. For 4 years, so yes, it was something that I had thought of. And us as women, we get a painting, a picture in our mind, and we try so hard. It's so important to us for everything to be perfect, and you want, you know, and in reality, it's like he said, it's over so fast. It's a blink, and you are so nervous. At least I was. You're riddled with nerves. And all that really matters is that they're there and that you're there, and it's about being, you know, with each other and starting this new journey and this new life. So, you know, don't worry so much. Just relax and try to take in the moments, because it's going to be gone so quick. Don't worry about this little thing, that little thing, because they're not going to be what matters in the end. So, and that's kind of, you know, what I think, you know, as far as advice goes. So, is there any other closing thoughts for you in general?
No, just husbands love your wives, and, you know, stay
Wives
with
love
it.
your husbands, yeah.
Yeah.
I have one closing thought, but I'm going to have to read something to you guys here. To me, this is very important and it's very well known. A love and patient quote is, I just wanted to read it on camera for sure, because definitely is helpful and describes, I mean, we even had it in our vows, what marriage is to me. So hold on one moment.
This is 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8.
It's love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. So that's kind of the love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast, it's not proud. Love is not a you, it's an us. It's loving each other.
And by all means, we understand on, you know, out there in YouTube land, yeah, we're reading from the Bible. We believe in God. Some of you may not. That's still applicable to everybody, though. Love is patient, again, and kind, and I mean, that's just, you know, something that everybody should keep in mind. Again, and if you need to, go back and just rewind it a couple of seconds and listen to that again, because that's very true for everybody.
Yep, absolutely. So I try to be that for you. I try to do that. I hope I'm kind and all that.
Well, I mean, you are, and I try to be that for you too, and I appreciate you for being that for me, and I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Set your goals way high, and remember to love life and your husbands
And your wives.
and each other in general. Bye.
Bye, guys.